woman living alone was terrified to discover that a stalker had repeatedly targeted her home. To get back at the stalker, Lisa drew some fresh blood from her own body and poured some of it on the floor, leaving a drop at the doorway. To make the simulated crime scene more realistic, Lisa put her underwear on a pillow and stabbed it several times with a fruit knife, making it look like it had been stabbed. She then diluted the remaining blood in hot water and poured the mixture onto the underwear. Once everything was ready, Lisa put on the blood-stained underwear and lay on the sofa, waiting for the stalker to come and make his move. Sure enough, it wasn't long before the stalker showed up. He had always taken advantage of his identity as a real estate agent to enter the apartments rented by his clients at will. After peeking into a client's life, he would select an inconspicuous souvenir in the room, take a photo of it, and bring it home to collect. For this purpose, he even had a warehouse prepared specifically to hide the photos he had collected. However, the stalker did not know that the moment he entered Lisa's home, he had already walked into a trap designed specifically for him by Lisa. He was then horrified to see Lisa lying on the sofa covered in blood. This scene instantly frightened the stalker, and he stood there and began to dry heave. He wanted to call the police, but then he remembered his identity as a stalker, so he had to give up on calling the police. He could only leave the scene in a hurry to avoid getting involved in this murder case. However, as soon as the man opened the door and left, Lisa sat up with an evil smile, because everything that had just happened had been captured by Lisa with a hidden camera. But the current evidence was not enough to convict the stalking man. Lisa then took a photo of herself lying on the sofa as if she had been murdered. When the evidence was about right, Lisa cleaned up the crime scene. To provide clues for the police, Lisa deliberately left a drop of blood under the sofa before leaving. She then got in the car and disappeared without a trace. After leaving, the stalker was always worried that the police would come to his door. So he deliberately brought along a couple who wanted to buy a house and went to look at the house. He thought that as long as this couple discovered the crime scene before him, he would certainly be able to get rid of the identity of a suspect. After waiting for the clients to enter the room, the stalker pretended to be unaware and hurriedly walked in. However, the corpse on the sofa had long since disappeared, and the bloodstains in the room had been cleaned up. The stalker couldn't understand why it had turned out like this. He quickly began to check the other rooms, but there was no trace of a murder scene in the entire room. He was devastated to think that the killer must have cleaned up the scene after he left. So the killer must have seen him enter the room, and he would certainly be used as a scapegoat by the killer. Sure enough, when the man went to work the next day, he saw a letter on his desk. The letter clearly said, "Was it you who did it?" Attached to the back of the letter was a photo of the corpse that Lisa had deliberately taken, as well as a photo of the man appearing at the scene. He was completely stunned. This evidence was enough to prove that Lisa was killed by him. If discovered by the police, he would certainly be locked up in prison as the murderer. This incredibly exciting movie is called She's Dead, and I recommend it with a 5-star rating.